President Obama promised to put the Middle East high on his agenda during his first 100 days in office, and so far he seems to be keeping his word. Mr. Obama called both Israeli and Arab leaders on his first morning in office, and now he's preparing to appoint former Senator George Mitchell as a special emissary to the region. Here to analyze Obama's moves thus far and what may lay ahead is senior editor of Arab Affairs, Octavia Nasser. Hello, Octavia.
Hi there, Namua. Lots going on with President Obama, and I have to tell you, the Arab world is definitely paying attention. The focus is very much on him, every word he says, everything he does. But also the young people of the Arab world seem to have a message for him. Let's take a look.
60 years ago in America, the mere thought of having an African-American president was a forbidden dream. Then, year 2008 came along, and this dream became true.
Luqman is a Jordanian boy with a simple message for President Obama and a question.
When will our dream become true?
Luqman is one of many young Jordanians on a mission. They're taping messages for President Obama and posting them online. They asked the U.S. president to focus his attention on Gaza and help the children there. Their campaign doesn't get into the politics of the 21-day Israeli incursion into Gaza or the Palestinian rocket attacks on Israel. They do, however, acknowledge the U.S.'s support for Israel.
This is no imaginary place.
Jordan's Queen Rania is Palestinian. In this video clip titled, quote, Gaza, Hell on Earth, she uses her stature to garner support for UNRWA, the UN organization that helps Palestinian refugees. The clip is broadcast on some Arab networks and posted on YouTube.
Please help UNRWA.
A confident young Talal Nabulsi challenged President Obama. You say your country is great, he asked. Then prove it with actions, he says. Leanne here went straight to the point.
Because you're the president of the biggest and strongest country in the world, and because you live in peace in your country, so give people and children in Palestine a chance to live in peace.
Now these young Jordanians say they wait for an answer in the form of words or actions.
And you know, Namua, I've been talking to parents, to teachers and people involved in putting together these messages to Obama. They tell me that these children really believe that President Obama will listen to them, will hear them, and that they will see some kind of action. They hope, of course, to see the action that they're asking for, which is help for the Palestinian children in Gaza. But they say, as I closed in my report there, they say that action or words, they think they will get their message.
Right, and of course action happening this afternoon at the State Department because President Obama is about to name former Senator George Mitchell as a special envoy to the Middle East. He's known as a seasoned peace negotiator. He, of course, helped broker a peace deal in Northern Ireland. So what message would his appointment send to the Arab world? Would that go some way to satisfying people that he was paying attention?
Yeah, George Mitchell is already getting a lot of attention. Senator Mitchell, of course, we all know him as from the Mitchell Report back in 2001. He's someone who wrote a very extensive report on how he believes the situation with the Israelis and the Palestinians can be resolved. And Palestinians at the time were pretty pleased with what he wrote because they believed that he saw their plight, that he was able to come in as an honest broker. He was able not to take sides with one or the other, but be a fair judge of the situation. And also they believe that he's someone who played a major role in Northern Ireland in ending the violence there. So he's someone who's getting a lot of buzz, and President Obama is already getting a lot of credit for even mentioning his name. Of course, as you said, we are very close to a possible announcement on George Mitchell becoming the U.S.'s special envoy on the Middle East. And this is getting a lot of attention and positive kudos at this point.
Right, obviously dealing with Northern Ireland, another problem that seemed intractable, and astonishing now that we see the power sharing in action. Octavia, we have the New York Times today suggesting that President Obama has two options in the wake of the Israeli incursion into Gaza: support a Palestinian unity government or continue to isolate Hamas. What are the respective benefits and pitfalls of either policy?
You know, within the Arab world right now, the discussion is ongoing. What do you do with Hamas? And what happened is that, you know, with the incursion, almost 21 days of pounding of Hamas headquarters, Hamas buildings, Hamas military power, whatever that power, however big or small that power was. And the Arab world right now is looking at it and saying Hamas is still in the picture. Israel was not able to isolate Hamas or put her out of the negotiating table. So as far as the Arab world is concerned, they still see Hamas as very much in the picture as a power to at least negotiate with. They understand that the military power of Hamas was reduced because of the bombardment and, you know, airstrikes and ground operations, of course. But they say they're still there, they're still active. As a matter of fact, we're reporting that they're rounding up people that they believe are spies for Israel. So they're still very much in power. And they believe in the Arab world right now, if you talk to experts, if you listen to analysts on Arab media, you're going to get the sense that Hamas is very much a part of any equation that will come out of that region.
And what about being part of the rebuilding of Gaza? I mean, everybody agrees that this was a humanitarian disaster. But of course, we recall that after the 2006 war, that Hezbollah was able to claim credit for rebuilding the region in Lebanon. Will this benefit Hamas if they are able to rebuild in Gaza? Or how much involvement might Fatah have?
Look, Hamas is not Hezbollah, and Hamas does not have the resources that Hezbollah had at the time in 2006. Hezbollah got the funding from Iran. And it was made clear, and they were very transparent about it. They said, you know, the money comes from Iran. Hamas doesn't have that luxury, if we should call it luxury. So basically, the rebuilding is going to have to fall on the shoulders of Arab nations, the shoulders of UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees, which, as you heard in my piece, Queen Rania of Jordan is trying to use her stature to garner support for UNRWA. It's going to come from donors. It's going to come, of course, from the U.S., from Israel, from European nations that want to see Gaza rebuilt and Palestinians stand on their feet. So the donations are going to be very important, but Hamas is in no position to help its people. You may remember right before the incursion, Hamas and Palestinians in Gaza were suffering because of the closure. They were suffering because of basically the closure on both ends, the Israeli end and the Egyptian end. So these people depend on the outside to survive, to live. They have no means of rebuilding or financing any rebuilding effort in Gaza.
Yeah, a very vulnerable position to be in. Octavia, you were just touching on Iran there and the role of Iran. We have already seen video of people burning images of President Obama in Iran. Is that at all representative of the general feeling in the Middle East, or is that an anomaly?
No, this is really an isolated case. It's very important to see it within the big picture. Not even in Iran is this the sentiment, to be honest with you. You know, you read Iranian press or you watch television. You even listen to the president himself, President Ahmadinejad, who is known as an extreme personality. Even he wrote a letter to President Obama congratulating him on winning the elections and telling him not to repeat the mistakes of the administration before him. So the general feeling is that they'll wait and see how President Obama will be handling the Middle East, what he'll be saying about the Middle East. But no, those pictures that we saw were an isolated case. They were specific to Gaza. Basically, people saying that President Obama at the time, Senator Obama, who was running for the highest office of the land, that he did not say anything about Gaza or he did not condemn Israel's actions in Gaza. So those demonstrations are relating to that, and this is an isolated case. No one should read more into it. No one should look at those pictures and say this is the general mood in the Middle East or even in Iran. Even within Iran, and the president of Iran does not share those sentiments as a general sentiment towards President Obama or his policies on the Middle East.
Right, okay. Well, thank you very much for clarifying, Octavia. Fascinating conversation. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you for having me.